Hello YouTube, this is Beauty Manifested and I am Danny the Tiege. Hopefully y'all can hear me alright because I decided to film outside today. And I want to talk about a concept that we speak of in gardening, and it's called sleep creep leap. And I do have some notes because I feel like I'm more organized and structured in my speaking when I have notes, but pretty much when you plant a perennial plant is a plant that comes back year after year after year after year. It may even live longer than you do. And the first year, they say that the perennial will sleep, as in it doesn't look like the perennial is doing much. At that point, it's mostly putting down roots. So it is doing a lot. It is acclimating to its new environment. It is getting to know the soil, the weather, and it is putting down roots. Now, if the plant is going to die, I would say it's this first year when it's most likely to not make it, because if it's not suitable for that environment, it's just not going to make it. So in this point, I would say it's the most difficult time. It's the most likely for it to not make it, most likely to see failure. It is doing a lot of work underground. It's laying a good foundation for the years to come. In the second year, it's going to creep, meaning you will begin to see some progress. You will begin to see what this plant is capable of. It will put on a show. Honestly, you might think that it's leaping because it did so little the first year, and you're just like, wow, like this plant is so beautiful, it's doing so much, and you're just like really impressed. It's doing a lot. And then in the third year, that is when the plant will leap. So you may have thought that it was really putting on a show in the second year. You're like, wow, like this plant is really the bee's knees. Look at that, it's so beautiful. In the third year, it just really shows out. It has sought out mastery. It is confident. It is performing. It is doing everything that you ever dreamed it would do. It is looking exactly like the picture on, like when you go and you buy the plant, there's like a picture of it in its ideal state. And then you plant it and it looks nothing like that. In the third year, it begins to look like that. There's a jet coming by. That's pretty awesome. I wonder if it's the news, but so there's a jet coming by, right? Let me look at my notes a little bit. So one lesson that I have learned recently is that humans, we also sleep, creep, and leap. Whenever you are beginning a new project, beginning a new relationship, beginning anything that you're starting new. And now with the plants, it is 1 to 3 years, right? Or it's seasons, whenever its blooming season is, but years typically. And it doesn't have to be years for us humans. It could be 3 years. Like they say, if a business makes it past 3 years, usually that business is going to last. But it could be 3 days. It could be 3 weeks. It could be 3 months. In relationships, they often say that a man knows you're the one within 3 months. So he knows within like 3 minutes. But it really just depends. But the point is, in that initial stage when you're first beginning, it may not look like you're doing much, but it is very important in this time. Like, I think they say like 90% of people who pass the real estate exam never sell a house. A lot of people never make it past this beginning stage, okay? So it's very important at this time that you are implementing systems, implementing processes. You are learning your field. You are researching, reflecting, you are growing. You are taking on the habits of someone who is successful in this field, and you are laying a very strong foundation to support you to the years to come. Because if you just hit the ground running and you start doing a lot of things without ever putting together a foundation, it's gonna show. It's gonna show fast forward, okay? So in that first year, focus on the roots. Focus on the foundation. You may not be buying the fancy cars. You may not be buying the mansion. Now I'm thinking like in starting a business, but this can apply to anything. You may not be showing out super flashy, doing all the things that you would think a business owner should be doing. Or maybe in the first year of your relationship, the man isn't buying the Louis Vuitton bags, taking you on the private flights, like doing all the things that you see on Instagram that you want your man to do. But just know, if you're building a really strong foundation where the man loves you, he cares for you, you guys have trust, you guys have faithfulness, you guys have all of those core values, that's what you should be working on. You guys have polarity, that's what you're working on in that first year. It may not look like much from the outside looking in, but you're laying a really good foundation that will support what you begin to build going forward. Now in the second phase, second year, second whatever, we're going to creep. Okay, so at this point, people start noticing, like, she's really up to something. Things are going well, things are beginning to compound, and you're able to put on a little bit of new growth above the surface. People can actually see what you're doing. Maybe in that first year, I know a lot of people speak of moving in silence. In that first year, you don't even really tell anyone what you're up to. You're just keeping it low key, keeping it smooth, keeping it chill. And now in that second year, that is when you begin to really show out. Maybe you start posting more. You start taking a few trips. You know, you're still a little quiet, but people start to notice, like, she seems to be living pretty good. And then in that third year, if you've laid the right foundation, that is when you really take off. That is when you get to reap the fruits of your labor. That is when everything just starts to make sense. You start to feel really confident. You've been acclimated to your environment. You've learned about your environment. You've seen massive successes. You've seen massive losses. You've seen a lot. You've been consistently showing up for 3 years now. I mean, that's not a small feat. And so at this point, a lot of people become stagnant. A lot of people become stagnant because, you know, you're doing good now. You applied the foundation. You may be at year 3, you may be able to automate a lot of things. You may be able to delegate a lot of things. And it's okay to be not stagnant, but it's okay to move on. That's what I would say. So ultimately, when you're building something, you do need to be able to commit. But what you really need to be committed to above all things is your soul's ascension and God's purpose for your life. And God's purpose for your life is never just one business. It's never just one relationship. It's never just one thing. It is the ultimate fulfillment and joy of your life. And so that may manifest in many ways. And so when you get to that year 3 and things are going really well and the business is pretty much able to run itself, the relationship, it feels pretty easy, like not boring, but easy. Like everything makes sense and you guys have a good routine going. At this point, it's okay to start adding in new things. It's okay to start something new. It's okay to go a little deeper. In fact, I would definitely encourage that. You never want to get stagnant. You always want to keep growing, and you always want to allow God to guide you. If you don't allow this, this is sometimes when you get stuck in your zone of excellence rather than pursuing your zone of genius. So yes, consistency is key. I thought I heard something. Mastery is key, but allow yourself to pivot when it's time to pivot. Now I'm going to go ahead and read my notes just because I did cover it, but I feel like it's beneficial when I get to read like my thoughts because it's just a lot more organized when I do it that way. Okay. When you are establishing a perennial garden, the plants in the first year will not do much. They will mostly sleep. This is because they are getting familiar with the new environment. They are focusing more energy into a strong root system, which will serve them over time. This is similar to how we as humans may behave when beginning a new journey. I know that in my mind, I often imagine the desired outcome. So when I begin a new project, I feel disappointed if things are more difficult than I expected them to be, or results are not as impactful as I'd imagined. This is because in the first season of a new journey, you should be focused on learning everything that you can about the new venture, as well as implementing a strong root system which will support you for many years to come. It may appear like not much is happening, but this is truly the most important time. When you do it right the first time, you save yourself a lot of time and set yourself up for success. In the second year, the perennials will creep. This is when you see your plants showing up like you imagined. They are putting on new growth, they are spreading out and taking up more space. They are really making themselves seen in the garden. Now it is important to note that this stage can only occur if you did your due diligence in first season by following planting, pruning, watering, and fertilizing best practices. Many plants will never make it to the second year because they did not have a good foundation. This is an exciting time in the garden, and it's more important than ever that you keep showing up consistently and giving the plants just as much attention as you did in the beginning. Don't get lazy now. Humans experience this as well. In the first year, you get a lot of leeway. No one expects you to do too much. If you have properly utilized this time to learn, reflect, and grow, by the second season, you will be ready to shine. You may not have mastered your art quite yet, but you are starting to feel pretty confident in the arena, and others are taking notice. You are feeling secure in the systems and processes that you've created, and now you're getting to express yourself confidently. Confidence only becomes confident by consistently showing up for yourself and doing what you said you would do. Whether or not you are perfect or whether or not you are the best in your industry, people will notice the way that you consistently perform. Reliability and dependability are the core business values. Your confidence will compound over time. In the third season, the plants leap. At this point, the plants are well established in the garden and making a huge impact. If the plant has made it to the third season, you can pretty much bet that they aren't going anywhere. This is their home now. You have been through good times and bad times. They have endured large cuts. They have seen everything that the environment has to offer, and now they confidently perform in the garden. In business, they say that if a business makes it past year 3, then they have endured the test of time and will do well. You learn so much about yourself when you consistently work on a dream for 3 years. In 3 years, there will be many times that you want to quit. There will be many good times and many bad times. You will laugh and you will cry. There is a lot of credit that should go to the person who is able to commit to anything for 3 years. This is when you leap. By this time, you have met and collaborated with many people in your industry. You have seen many seasons. You have witnessed great losses of your peers and also massive success. If you have made it to year 3 of anything, give yourself a pat on the back. You're a winner. Just as nature can be unpredictable, so can life. In year 3, the plant has established such a strong root system that it may not want to be moved or disturbed. Beware of this habit in your life. Allow yourself to pivot and transform. Continue to pursue your zone of genius, even if that means allowing massive change in your life. You have created a strong foundation for yourself, but do not get comfortable. The purpose of life will always be to learn, reflect, grow, and reproduce. Keep growing forever. Love always, beauty manifested. And that is my garden philosophy. Thank you for joining me for tea time today. I hope that you guys could hear me. I'll have to listen back to this video before I post it. But I love you guys. I hope you have a beautiful day. And I love you to the moon and back. Mwah! Stay beautiful.